Today's collectible spot, we are having a look at the Hot Toys Iron Man 3 War Machine Mark II 1/6 scale collectible figure. War Machine Mark II is MMS 198-D03 and comes to us from the new Movie Masterpiece Series die-cast 1/6 scale figures. This is, as far as I know, Hot Toys' first realm into producing a die-cast piece, and of course it had to be fitting that it would be of an Iron Man suit, or an extension to the Iron Man suits, really a War Machine suit, this being War Machine Mark II. It's advertised really as Iron Man 3, though really War Machine didn't really appear in Iron Man 3. However, his repaint certainly did, coming to us as the Iron Patriot. Before we have a look at the 1/6 scale figure, and I can't wait to get this certainly opened up. The box is beautiful. It is an absolutely gorgeous piece. Down below, I'm going to bring the camera down here for a second. Down below, it feels as if it should be like a metal base, but it isn't actually a metal base. It just to me feels like it is made out of metal. Then we've got an overlay of War Machine right at the top there, and we spin around the box, and we've got War Machine Mark II on the side, the cast of artists and designers responsible for War Machine there as well. And of course, warning, choking hazard, small parts not for children under 3 years of age, as War Machine, as well as certainly any other Hot Toys piece, does have small parts, and certainly not recommended for ages 0 to 3. Having said that, we take this box off. I'm just going to pull this overlay off, because I actually wanted to show you guys the inside of the box, which is, I like the way that they've approached this. This whole box can pull out. There's the bottom tray section I was telling you about. And this whole section right here is a styrofoam box. You just open this up. Truth be told, Spot actually did already take out War Machine. War Machine would be right in there. But I like that this is in a styrofoam container. I would imagine keeps probably a lot of the die-cast pieces from getting scratched, or certainly anything along those lines. So putting it in a styrofoam box is certainly a smart idea. I'm wondering if they're going to approach this as well when they do the Mark 42 and also RoboCop. This, for some reason, I look at this, I think RoboCop versus Terminator. I don't know why. It's just styrofoam. It really should have no reason why it should remind me of RoboCop versus Terminator, but it does. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to take a break. Technically, I already have War Machine out of packaging, but when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the MMS 198-D03 War Machine Mark II die-cast 1/6 scale figure. There is definitely more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. As this being one of the first figures into Hot Toys' realm of new die-cast pieces, 1/6 scale figures, it doesn't get any better than War Machine right here. Now this will be a prelude to the ultimate Iron Man Mark 42 that we're going to be getting, and then the RoboCop as well. And by seeing what they've done here with War Machine has me even more excited for what we're going to be seeing with 42 and RoboCop. I mean, this is a beautiful looking 1/6 scale figure. Like his movie counterpart, War Machine is presented in a silver and dark, I want to think it's like a gunmetal gray, making up the majority of the coloring of his suit. The only areas where you won't find those two colors is right around the arc reactor, which is in a red trim, and that same red trim carries over into his eyes of his helmet. Now his hands, his arc reactor, and his eyes all light up. I'll show you that in a second. But the majority of the figure, again, is just very military. Very military. He doesn't have any sort of flashy coloring to him. He's very rooted in just this silver and gray. And I like it. I liked it in the movie. I liked it always in War Machine. And again, the 1/6 scale version of him really carries well also. Smaller details, if we can move the camera in here, smaller details, things such as Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes, featured on the side of his chest plate. Also FF, AF 04445 is there as well, 0002 on the bicep, and even on the forearm, military symbols. Also symbols carried down to the side plates, these plates on the sides of his waist, which I'll show you in a second. And again, just like little details here and there. As you flip the piece around, you'll just see little details, even such as something like this, disengaged to service, just all there. It's small details like that that make it look like it's a real piece, something that was taken right out of the movie. Of course, no War Machine would be complete unless he had some sort of a shoulder cannon. In this case, he's got a little laser cannon, little laser military cannon that would sit on the back. Sadly, though, he doesn't come with like a Gatling gun or something like that where you could have them dueling on both sides. But the one that he does come with is not only super detailed, but certainly also super articulated. As you already saw, the neck on the gun can pivot back and forth. This section right here also rotates back and forth. And for good measure, this secondary arm, I guess the main arm, also rotates back and forth as well. Speaking earlier about the details, zooming the camera in once again, we've got things such as danger. Just like a little danger sticker on the underside of that cannon. Didn't have to be there, but it's nice to see that Hot Toys is really sparing no expense when it comes to just little things here and there, just like little details, little labels, little warning signs, all nicely included. To attach a shoulder-mounted cannon, just going to spin around the back of War Machine, and you'll see this section right here is one open groove. Taking this groove right here, this little notch, you can peg it into any one of those places, and you can peg that cannon into his back. Something I didn't mention though, if we just take this off, is this cannon, this peg right here also spins. So depending on how you want to peg it into place, once it's pegged into place, you can still spin it from that point as well. It's just all a matter of preference for yourself as to where you want the cannon displayed. I probably would take it, and I would probably peg it up at the top here. Peg it at the top, spin it around, and have something that looks like this. And from that point, again, you can just rotate it and have it in, in any given position that you want it, or I might even just have it straight up. I do like, though, that there is that groove, and I think also the Hot Toys Iron Man bus, the 8-set bus, also their War Machine was very similar as well, where there was any one of those peg points where you can peg the cannon into place and have him displayed. For the light up, the arc reactor chest piece will light up, the eyes will certainly light up, and also his hands will light up. Unlike previous released Iron Mans, though, War Machine does come with the batteries and screwdriver separate. So you actually have to add the batteries to those sections to get the areas to light up. Areas such as his chest, you'll take the figure, spin it around, and we'll just take the cannon off here. This back section right here, you're going to pull off and just get your finger underneath it. This appears to be die cast as well. Take that off, and you'll see the on and off switch and your battery. Taking this screwdriver, this teeny tiny screwdriver that they include with War Machine, you're going to take the screwdriver and you're just going to unscrew the screw that's holding the battery plate. Take the screw out, and it's not sadly the easiest. However, they do give you also the little plastic lifter right here that you can kind of get it underneath that battery plate to flick it out, just like so. You pop that out and you're going to put your batteries right into there. With 3 batteries in, flicking the switch, which again can be a little hard to get and get your finger in there, but you got yourself a really bright LED light being projected out from his arc reactor. By also having it in with the red trim around it, it really gives a nice added bit of detail, whereas if it was just white, completely white in here, it would not have as defined of a light. So really, really bright, and again, that brightness carries also into the eyes as well as is in his hands. To put the batteries into the head, you're just going to take your finger, and you could use this tool. I use it for the batteries, but it's really for anything that you can't get access into. Just kind of gets it wedged in there, and it pops that plate out. You're just going to pop this plate off. Same idea, unscrew it, and you'll take 3 batteries to get the lights in the eyes. To install the batteries into the hand, you'll actually flip around the back of War Machine, and there's a battery plate here and a battery plate here. Again, using the small screwdriver, unscrewing it and putting your 3 batteries in. The final product ends up looking like this. You can see the arc reactor lit up, as well as the hands and the eyes. A very bright, bright white, and it shows really well, especially in the areas where the War Machine is this dark gunmetal. The lights really show up very well on War Machine. Depending on your preference for displaying them, War Machine also comes with 5 extra hands. Now, currently, the War Machine that, when you get him out of package, out of box, the War Machine has articulated finger hands, which is likely how I'm going to probably have him displayed, but also for your consideration, you get yourself 2 closed fists. You get yourself a saluting hand, which isn't articulated, just a flat palm. And also you get yourself your repulsor blast hands. So you can take, for example, the articulated hand, we just wiggle this off, pop it right off, and put on the repulsor hand. Just like so. Just wiggle this back on. Once again, you flick this switch. Just taking the arm plate off to access the switch. Flick that switch again, and you've got War Machine with his repulsor blast. Again, depending on your preference, I like the articulated hands. I'll probably just keep them on as is. But, I mean, at some point, you're probably going to want to display War Machine with his repulsor blast. So, again, the addition of the repulsor blast hands, always nicely welcomed. The other accessory that you'll get with War Machine is also a retracted cannon, or a little retracted gun plate that will be a replacement to the plate that was on his arm. So where we had the switch, you just take the plate and just line it up, and you've got War Machine with some nice added firepower. Taking that and taking the shoulder cannon, between the two, you've got some nice firepower for War Machine. Especially displaying him, having him with the extra firepower is also something that you can consider doing. Lastly, no Hot Toys piece would be complete without, of course, a Hot Toys display stand. And with War Machine, you get yourself a spectacular looking display stand, which has the retracted neck and clamp that you can clamp it onto War Machine, keep him affixed. But on the front, a placard that says Iron Man 3 War Machine, and on the flip end of it, there's another battery plate. Now this actually takes 3 AAA batteries, which were not included with War Machine, but Spot's already put AAAs in there, and this whole section lights up, top and bottom, all the way around the display base. Beautiful touch indeed. Loving the inclusion of the lights, and I'm wondering if we're going to get something similar in vein to when we get the release of the die-cast Mark 42. As it goes with display pieces, having War Machine displayed on the display base, though I don't have his legs straight, you can do that as well, but displaying him on the display base is a good way to round out an already perfect looking figure. The light up base definitely is the icing to the cake. And there's also War Machine standing straight, sitting in his dock plates, I suppose, and saluting to you guys out there. For War Machine's articulation now, granted we've already kind of looked at his articulated hands, but I just want to show you guys a closer look at them. The individual sockets, the individual knuckles of the hands are all articulated. So he's got a double bend in each individual finger, which allows you to close them up in individual fists. You can also give a nice thumbs up to Iron Man as well. The articulation, though, as a whole for the entire figure, well, he does have articulation in the head. The head rotates up and back and forth. There is also a pivot. Now, if you can see it there, right at the base of the neck, this whole section right here slides back and forth, just giving you a little bit of extra movement in the head. Sadly though, his head doesn't move any further back than it does there, so having him in flight poses might be a little more difficult, but at least you get a lot of range of movement in the hands. When you get to the shoulders, now the shoulders, several areas on War Machine, he has different socket articulation. So currently his shoulders, when they are completely up, I'll show you that, guys, this. When they're completely up, you can rotate them forward and back, but you can't rotate them a lot. In order to get the extra articulation, you're going to bring this socket down. I'll show you guys on this arm. Bring this socket straight down. And it looks a little awkward, but when you start getting to a full range of motion, moving that arm further down, you're really not going to notice it when you have the arms extended fully out. And in this way, the arms can rotate technically all the way around if you wanted them to. When he gets to the elbows, the same idea. He does have a bend in the elbow, but you can slightly pop this just a little bit to get an extra bend in the elbow. And he gets actually a double bend in the elbow section here. Hands are on a rotation via just a ball joint socket, so they rotate all the way around and also pivot back and forth. The torso section is rather interesting in that it does rotate left and right, slight bend up and down. To get any further movement, you want to kind of take the torso kind of with your arm, with your fingers, and just pop them. And you'll see it separates a section here where you can bend him back and forth. And it also opens a clearance right here where you also have additional movement in the upper torso. So it does give you quite a bit more of a range, and then you can just pop it back down, lock it back into place, and they compact back together these three sections of his torso. The articulation in the legs is in the same vein as the arms, so they move forward and back. Not a lot though, and luckily these side waist pieces do move out of the way for you. However, you can take your finger, get your fingers underneath these front plates, and you just want to get them out of the way. Take your finger, kind of take your pointer finger and just grab onto the legs like so, and you're going to want to, and this tends to move along with it, but you're going to pop these out. And you may or may not hear a click when you pull them out, but once you pull them successfully, you get a lot more clearance in the legs, both out and forward and back. When you putting them back into place, the same idea, you just kind of get your, just like that, get your fingers in there, and you're just going to pop it back into place. And sometimes it takes a little bit to pop them back into place, but it certainly gives you a lot more articulation in the legs than what you initially started with, and more importantly, a lot more articulation than what you got with the previous Hot Toy Iron Man pieces. Knee articulation, same idea as the elbows. There is a double bend in the knee. There is a bend in the foot, and also in the same idea, you can pop the foot out, just pop it just a little bit out, and it allows for an extra bit of clearance when moving those feet. There's also a little bit of toe articulation as well. And I also really like the fact that the back plate and the front plate are all sectional pieces. They all move freely when moving the feet, as you can see right there. They completely move out of the way, and for a lot of extra clearance when you want to move the feet back and forth. And for a comparison, I'll just take War Machine and move him to the side, and I'll bring in Tony Stark in his Mark 7 suit. Difference-wise, well, similarity-wise, they look roughly about the same in height. War Machine's always been a beefier-looking suit, so of course his Hot Toys counterpart, he'll be a beefier-looking suit in Hot Toys as well. The big difference, and the real shocking difference, I would say, is when you start picking the pieces up. Mark 7 Iron Man is a much lighter piece, being the majority of his figure is in plastic. With War Machine in die-cast metal, You definitely notice right away picking up one versus the other. War Machine is quite a bit heavier than Iron Man certainly was. With, though, the die-cast addition to War Machine, it also means that the price of this piece is a little more than what you would expect with a standard Hot Toys piece. Would I say he is worth it? I honestly would. By comparison to a standard Hot Toys, which ranges anywhere from, for a male standard Hot Toys, would range anywhere from about $220 to about $260. War Machine, being that he's die cast, I think warrants the extra cost in getting him. With it being die cast, it feels a lot more like a beefier, heftier piece. And you know what? I can justify paying a little bit more for him, being that he is die cast. If you are certainly a little iffy with the fact that he is a little bit more, and he's past the $300 mark for this piece, you can certainly always get it in flex payments, which ultimately is what Spot does with a lot of his pieces. It means that I can pay a little bit at a time. I don't have to worry about paying $300 plus for pieces like War Machine. But War Machine is a beautiful looking piece. As Spot had mentioned before in the beginning of this review, I think really he sets the bar, and being a prelude to future die-cast pieces such as the Mark 42 and also the RoboCop. Seeing what they did here with War Machine has me extremely excited for seeing what they're going to be doing with future die-cast pieces. If you are certainly on the fence with getting this piece, hopefully this review has helped a little bit. I would definitely say, though, for any Iron Man enthusiasts who have been collecting Hot Toys pieces, you would definitely be happy with picking up the War Machine Mark II. There is also a Sideshow exclusive where you can go to Sideshow's website, and there is a holographic accessory that is only available as a Sideshow exclusive. So if you guys are interested in certainly picking those up as well, or really just as a whole picking up War Machine, you can click the link down below and head over to Sideshow Collectibles. Today's collectible spot, I have loved having a look at this piece. Today we're having a look at the Iron Man 3, the War Machine Mark II die-cast figure. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more collectible spots heading your way. Thanks for watching, as you always do. I'll see you guys next time.